Well, I wasn't planning on talking about property tax, so I'll probably leave that up to Troy. All I really can say is that we got together on Thursday and we tried to verify all the signatures that we've been collecting. We got over 2,000. So I think we're at like 2,200, which was our goal for the county. And we were a little disappointed because we had difficulty verifying as many as we had hoped. So there wasn't a lot of confidence in the list that we had. We're not sure if there was a problem with that, or if people just move and don't re-register, or you know, get married and don't re-register, things like that. So anyways, we've got new lists. We're bound and determined to get more signatures. We're gonna make it count. So we have a little more time. We're still working on that. So the reason that I wanted to get up and talk is I'm part of a political action committee. It's called Coal Country Conservatives. And we were operating last time around 2022, but as you know, that was a much, I won't say much, it was a smaller election. This one's kind of ramping up, it's gonna be big. And so our PAC is ramping up too. We've got some new members and we're adding some more facets to it. And one of them is Facebook. So Ms. Cox is not tech savvy, but we got somebody on board who is. So we're trying to build up our audience. If anybody is on Facebook, I wanted to give you information about it. We've been kind of undercover in the past, and now we're spreading the word. We've got a message, and mainly it is, you guys know me, I've been here for a while. There's Republican and then there's conservative. And I've been here almost 3 years, and I have learned that Republican
Bless you.
can also mean Democrat. Where I came from, it wasn't so. They were proud to be Democrat. Here, they kind of hide. So Republican can mean 3 different things. So one thing that our PAC does is we spend a lot of time and effort vetting candidates, because they're all gonna call themselves Republican. So our yardstick is the platform that the Wyoming Republican Party uses. And we feel like if you're gonna put an R after your name and claim to be a Republican, you're coming here, you're talking Republican. But if you go to Cheyenne, or even you might be in the city council, and you're not voting that way, then you're not. And you're not gonna be honest about it, but we're gonna suss that out. And we're looking for true conservatives. So the party platform is what we use to determine. We send out surveys. We're gonna find out in your own words whether or not we really think that what you do, and sometimes what you say, matches up to the party plank and the platforms. So that's our yardstick. So if anybody has Facebook and they're interested in checking us out, if you'll raise your hand right now, I'll run around and give you one of these. Thank you very much.
I already joined.
I love it. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anybody here? Awesome. Oops. Some more. Thank you very much.
He's eating.
He's having too much fun back
He's
there.
supposed to be leading the meeting. He's eating.
Like eating, you're supposed to be leading the meeting. So you gotta introduce the next person.
Goodness. I thought I could just do it all at once. So I guess Laura's probably done.
She done.
She's done. Okay, next we're gonna have Patty come up here and, do some scrolling up here. Yeah, I think that was something Rush Limbaugh used to say. Yeah.
Called it he had
No,
it- he pronounced it
screw.
differently. Oh, screw.
That's what he called it.
Yeah, he had a different
He
thing.
did.
Anyway, thank you. I actually have about 3 things. I forgot I should address Republican women, and, oh my gosh, you got the timer going.
Yep.
I'll respect it, I'm gonna talk fast. So I meant to bring the cards, but we do have cards for the Campbell County Republican women, and as Susan pointed out, we have taken it over. And So Sage Bear's treasurer, friend Linda Thorne secretary, Chelsea Collier vice president, and I'm president. And we are going on elections this year and voter education and voter integrity and everything else. And so please, please, please come, bring other people, and come to that January 11th meeting. And we've moved it to afternoon so that hopefully, and right next to the courthouse at the George Amos building. I already have Michelle Liker, who's our elections coordinator, wanting to join, and Susan Grow, I think it is, Human Resources for the county, is planning to join. So already we've got that ramping up. So please, please, please get that word out. We're also on Facebook as well, which has been basically, CCRW has been dormant, and we're not going to be dormant anymore. So next thing is, I even made a list. Cause of Wyoming used to be Wyoming Election Integrity, and we changed it because we partnered with the national group that was put together by Mike Lindell, called Cause of America. So we changed last week to be Cause of Wyoming. We have a group that has finished their presentation. I've been working literally night and day, nonstop. You can ask Mark. And he comes and asks me a question, what? Because I'm tied into this with fine-tuning their presentation that at another county that's going to be in front of their county commissioners on the 18th. And they're not just doing public comment, they are actually on the agenda. I'm hoping that that's going to happen in Campbell County. And that maybe not even just on the agenda, but a workshop, because that was suggested by another county commissioner that we do, and that we can really present this. They have an hour scheduled in their meeting on next Tuesday, so please put that on your prayer list. And it's on YouTube. Well, I don't really want to tell you what county it is quite yet, and because things get out, and the enemy likes to sabotage things. So that is moving forward, and I'm so excited. I believe without question that we have that same possibility here in Campbell County, and I know that our commissioners were on board. I believe they still are on board. We had a little bit of a glitch, and I won't go into that, but I think we're going to overcome that glitch, and I'm going to ask all of us, the library board, the library, we made a huge impact. Now, let's get back to hand counting. Get rid of these machines. One of the things that happened when we went to the summit in August with Mike Lindell's summit is he introduced a little device that's not much larger than a cell phone called a WMD, Wi-Fi motion detector, something like that, that can detect, I call it a ping, from any electronic device. And if we were in this room and I had this device, it would, every single one of our cell phones, computer, everything else, but it has the ability to filter out all of that and go directly to what you're wanting. So for instance, it will go to the election machine, and it can show that that machine is directly connected to the internet. But they are not really broadcasting. I just happen to know from talking to the person who developed it actually, and that is that they can also see where the ping is going, like China, Italy, all of those things. So it was being used in the 2023 elections in the states that had elections. It's about a $500 device, and Mike Lindell made that available for free to any county clerk who wanted it. And I could buy it and I could use it as well. I mean, any one of us can do that. Over 200 county clerks. Now remember, there weren't all that many elections in 2023. Over 200 county clerks who swore up and down, our machines are not connected to the internet. We have no modem. People, the modem that is in there and is soldered to it is not much bigger than the size of a pinhead. How, if you can't even open them because you, violate the contract. If you did open them and some people say, well, we looked, how are you even gonna see it? You can't. And so anyway, over 200 county clerks use those devices. Every single machine. connected to the internet. Every single machine. How can we tell if Campbell County machines are connected? Maybe you should look at everybody else's. And there's a lot more to that as well. We've got some data on all of that. So this group in this county that's presenting this has a lot of this information. And we also did a hand counting seminar, I think it was, I don't remember, early September. And it was phenomenal. We know how to hand count. It's easy to hand count. Easy. Well, machines are more trustworthy than humans. Do you know that every single thing that we're talking about tonight is being listened to by how many people? Thousands, millions, billions of people? Yeah. So tell me that's not, humans are less trustworthy. So we're going to go for that, and we need your help. We need you to write letters to your county commissioners. We need to have you write letters to your county clerk. She's new. She's apprehensive on changing things. Number one, the county clerk association, they have their own narrative. I talked to at least 10 different county clerks. Every single one of them says the exact same thing. Who's telling them what to say? It's not just the state association, it's the national association. Can you tell I get a little fired up on this? So that's where we're at on that. And we need people to support that. The next thing is, I have 3 minutes. I'm going. Coy Griffin. Coy Griffin is a friend that Mark and I met 3 years ago, I think. And he's the founder of Cowboys for Trump. He lives in New Mexico. He was a county commissioner at the time. He was I could get emotional on this one. It was at the Capitol on January 6th. He never went in the building. He stood on the grounds and he had a megaphone and he prayed and he led prayers. January 15th, somebody showed up at his doorstep. They arrested him. He went into 2 weeks of solitary confinement. No phone calls, no nothing. He obviously knows a lot of the other J6 prisoners. Mark and I have been at a couple of conferences where we've listened to them. And the fact that Mark and I were there on January 6th, a little scary, I'm not going to lie, but we know who's in charge. God's in charge. The people who we just talked today, somebody was arrested, a 60-some-year-old grandma was arrested just the other day. Well, I'm only 39. Can't arrest. Coy, founder of Cowboys for Trump. He was the county commissioner, as I said. They stripped his title because he got convicted of trespass. And they took his title of county commissioner, or his office of county commissioner, away because he was an insurrectionist. Brought it up to our fundraising meeting for GOP 2 weeks ago. Last week, Holly Galloway said, Coy already agreed. In fact, when I called him at the meeting, he was on his way to Washington, D.C. He had his appeal hearing a week ago, last Tuesday. It went well, that's all I know. We haven't had a chance to talk since then. So then last Wednesday, Holly Galloway says, wouldn't it be cool if he'd come on January 6th? And I went, no way, it's only a month away, there's no possible way. Well, guess what? Coy Griffin will be here in Gillette January 6th with his story. It's pretty amazing. So I have some flyers like this that are back there if you have any businesses that you can put them in. I think Don's Supermarket and Bear's Dry Cleaning would be 2 places to start. Just saying. I don't know why. Would you hold that? And then I also have postcards, and I print these myself, so if we run out, I'll just print more. And please take a handful, give them to people. I don't want to give you, I gave you quite a bit of his story. I was kind of afraid to do that a little bit because I don't want to take away from his story, but when you talk to people and get them there, we're going to open this up to around the state. It is a fundraiser for the county GOP. It's also a fundraiser for Campbell County Republican Women, but since I don't take office till January 1, and none of us do, we realized we better not put our name out there. So we will share in the proceeds though. We are on Facebook as well. That's why I brought my phone up, and it's called a January 6th Prisoner's Story. It's not a very good title to get people to go to, but it is on Facebook if you want to share that. I think that's it.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
Good.
Excuse me, quickly, On top of everything else, so back to Republican women for a second. Patty left out. She's also incoming secretary for the state Republican women.
Because I have nothing else to do in my life.
There you go.
I have a very supportive husband, can you tell?
How nice.
Thank you, Patty. Appreciate it. Thanks, Patty, appreciate that. That was some good information. Yeah. So, next person on the floor is going to be Troy. And Troy, he never talks very long, so we're gonna give him a
How
little bit
much
more
time
time.
should we give him?
Oh, geez.
10 minutes?
Oh, sure. Let's try 10.
Try that.
Welcome, Troy McEwen.
Yes,
Thank you.
welcome.
introduction.
That'd be the introduction. It sounds like church on Sunday.
How's everybody doing?
Great. How are you?
Great, yes.
Good. We're just gonna talk a little tonight. We're gonna talk property taxes. I see that Representative Bear is here. How many pennies out of the dollar go to the school system?
Out of our property taxes,
Out of all of it?
78 pennies of the property tax.
Total, it's about 72, isn't it?
It's crazy.
I think it's 78, but it could be 70.
No, I mean, all the other taxes too.
Could be.
See, here's what we do. We play this game. We call all these taxes, but at the end of the day, I want you to imagine a jar. It has jelly beans in it. And that's our GDP. And all the jelly beans are different colors. But does it matter if we take 72% of the jelly beans out of the jar, what color they are? It doesn't, does it? That money's gone. So, we're fighting property tax. And I'm gonna ask you all to pay attention to this fight as we go into an election season. The state of Wyoming has $30 billion in the rainy day fund. Actually, it's over 30 billion, but we'll just call it 30 billion. And we're not giving anybody tax relief. In fact, going into the budget session, our wonderful governor wants to put another 500 million in the kitty. We're gonna save another 500 million. But it doesn't matter. If you're all curious, I'd like you, if you like to read, get the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, and just read it. You want to understand how evil it all is? It started about 3 weeks after George Washington was elected. The only president we've ever had that stopped the mess was Andrew Jackson. And I'm kind of pretty sure he was a Democrat. So I would encourage everybody to read the book. It has dates, times, names, and it'll get you to where we're at right now. But at the end of the day, 78 cents in property tax at least goes to a school system. An overbloated school system that produces kids that can't read anymore, can't do algebra. You're paying almost 20 grand a year for each of them. And I get it. It's all about kids and the old people. Oh, the poor children. But at the end of the day, we had a bill 2 sessions ago that cut spending in the school system and simultaneously gave the teachers raises. how couldn't we pass that?
Yeah.
How couldn't we get that through? And I'm gonna run again. People have asked me. I'm not done.
Awesome. Yay.
Beating my head against a brick wall, but blood isn't coming out yet.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to talk about me. We got some candidates coming up. We need to do everything we can to support them. It doesn't matter whether you like them or not. If they're conservative and they'll vote right,
Yep.
I don't care if they got a rainbow horn growing out of their head.
Mm-hmm.
Please, come on down.
Mm-hmm.
So as we go into this, and I'm fortunate that John's here tonight, so if I misstep, please correct me. He's on the revenue committee with me. We have some really, really good bills. Want to know what the revenue committee stands for? 7 to 7. I gotta ask myself, was it designed that way? I think so. We're going into an election year. Let's throw some conservatives on there, and they'll bring some good bills, and we'll defeat them at a tie, and they'll never make the floor. Well, we got a couple end-around runs. We're bringing them in anyway, but I want you all to pay attention to that, if you would. We're trying. Do you realize $30 billion would pay for no property tax in this state for 60 years? 60 years. It's a little under 500 million. Am I correct, John? 60 years worth of overtaxation stuck into a bank account. You can't have it, because we all know y'all are too dumb to manage your own money. We need to do it for you at the state. And then we'll say, hey, Troy, what services do you want to cut? But they don't ask it that way. They say, what service do you want to get rid of? It's cute. I fell for it for the first year and a half I was in the legislature. Then one day I thought, we don't have to get rid of services. We have to get rid of the fat that runs the services. We have to get rid of. How many people here went to high school in Wyoming? Raise your hands, please. How many principals did you have? Oh, look, everybody says one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, the kids today are boring. We were a handful. Or at least I was. Now we got 4 and 5 principals in a high school. We got a school nurse in every school. I guess that's for the shootings.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, she won't be able to deal with that, but we have a police officer in every school. A police officer. Why? Yes, ma'am, 4 counselors, because, you know, a 9th grade counselor can't talk to a 10th grader, and a junior counselor, 11th grade, couldn't talk to a sophomore or a senior. Here's where we're at. And as you watch, we're going into an election year. And I'm begging you to watch, and I'm begging you to talk at the candidates. listen to what they're saying. Listen to the ones we've elected. And if they're not doing what we did, don't vote for them again. Right? To include me. If you don't like what I'm doing, vote for somebody else. If you do like what I'm doing, please put that big check there. MCKEOWN. But there truly can be no tax relief of any kind without cutting spending. So when you listen to these blowhards talk, once again, to include me, understand, we're gonna put $500 million in savings. Or the governor wants to. And of course, what King Gordon wants, King Gordon gets. So the only way we have to fix this is get rid of the rhinos.
Amen.
Yes, ma'am?
If we don't get rid of machines, that will be very difficult to get rid of the rhinos. We don't have true, fair, accurate elections.
I'm hoping, I'm gonna go meet with Cindy Lovelace. I still think she's on our side. I think she cares. So no matter what, I think she's gonna do everything she can to make sure it's fair. So we have that. I don't know what that means, but at the end of the day, we gotta keep, we have a saying in the Army, pushing the macaroni noodle up the hill with our nose. It's hard. It kinda hurts a little. But we still gotta get the noodle to the top of the hill. And I'm looking at the people in this room. I probably have more respect for all of you than you do for me. You do good things. But at the end of the day, if we don't end spending, if we don't cripple the teachers union, we're not going anywhere. Because there's a lot of us that want to get elected again. And the teachers union helps us. So we don't want to come out and take money away from them, because we might not get elected. You ever heard of the self-licking ice cream cone? There you go. That's what we do sometimes. But we got some really good bills coming up. I'm gonna run the property tax bill again. And I'm gonna run a bill to cut all fees in half. To include your license plates.
Amen.
Will it go anywhere? I don't know. But understand this, it'll be there. So please pay attention to that. I think we have a guy named George Dunlap. He's on the cliff. I've talked to him about 3 or 4 times. I'm trying to nudge him over. And his wife's trying to nudge him over. So if you see George, tell him he's ugly and he needs to run for the House of Representatives.
Who would he be running against?
Oh, I love this one. Ken Clouston,
Yes,
Mr. School Board.
yes.
Hey, I'm here in Cheyenne. Let me tell you about the teachers union. Oh, we're voting on another, I don't know what that is. We're at a point now, this next election season is gonna be brutal. I may not have run again, but I like brutal. It'll be fun for me. Win, lose, or draw, bring the best you got. We'll have some fun.
Don't you have a saber? What is it called?
I have a saber, I have a bayonet,
The bayonet,
There you
yeah.
go.
I have another bayonet that Mark Junick gave to me. Thank you, sir. But watch. It's gonna be dicey. But I think the fact that Trump's gonna enter will help us. It will get people to the polls. So we just gotta keep pushing the noodle up the hill. I watched at the end of the day at the Revenue Committee. And I'm gonna tell you how this all went down, because you need to know. The chairman formed us all into subcommittees to come up with bills. We tried to meet with our subcommittees. It was impossible. How much time do we have, John? Once he declared that? Month and a half?
Pretty short.
2 months. Get together and come up with all the bills we're gonna run. My committee never met. I tried, but Representative Oakley and a few others are like, well, I can't do that, I can't do this. But guess what? We showed up and there were bills. They did bills all on their own. Please correct me when I'm wrong, John. And it was garbage. They want to tell you they're going to give you tax relief with a bill that caps increase 6%. Which sounds good. After we've gone through 70%, 80%. But it's not any relief. It's ridiculous. 6% is huge. As is 70, 80, 90, and 100% that a lot of us have seen. So we're gonna try to run another bill that caps property tax at 3%, and then it has some ors in it. Or the CPI, or the wage growth. Whatever's lower is the cap. So if you make 1% more next year, your property taxes can't go up more than 1%. Now I got myself in trouble here one night when I talked about sales tax and asked everybody what they thought about that. I'm not a proponent of raising any taxes, to include sales tax. And we have to tax, because we like roads, we like police departments, we like fire departments, or at least the thought of all those things. So we have to collect some money. I get it. But do they have to make so much money? You think about this. Everybody who works for the state, the county, and the city has health care. And everybody in this room that doesn't work there, no health care. And you can't afford it, but you can afford to pay for their health care. Let that sink in for a minute. You're paying for their retirement and their health care. And as we go on, this next session is really going to identify who cares about their constituents and who cares about growing government. And I'll be the first to tell you, the governor putting $500 million in savings while the state's starving is not right. I think we should do away with all property taxes until we rewrite it and it's right. And we take the money out of savings and bite the bullet. Maybe you get 17% instead of 18% of your government retirement. So I get to the crux of what I want to say. The problem with taxes is not necessarily a tax problem. It's a spending problem. And I beat this drum many times, but as we're getting ready to go into the campaign season, I want to refresh everybody and say, let's go. We can do this. And we have to change the butts in the seats. I think I'm stealing somebody's thunder on that one. That's the only way we're going to get it done. So everything you do to help us, you'll never understand how much we appreciate it. None of us would have made it there without people like you in this room. And not just because you voted for us. There was a lot of work put into it. And we're getting ready to do it again. And it's going to be an ugly mess. I actually prefer that. Bring the fight on. That way, if I lost, oh no, it's not what people wanted. And I'm good with that. And as Patty was saying earlier, we have to do something to make sure the elections are as fair as they can be. We're never going to get there perfect. But we have to plug the holes. What does that look like? There's a lot of things out there. Oh, by the way, we couldn't pass most of it. So you might ask, why do you keep going back? Why do you keep beating your head against a brick wall? Well, I like brick walls. Pain's good. If we don't, it's over. So, lift your hearts and your spirits and get ready for the next fight. Because at the end of the day, there will be no tax relief until we cut spending. And real quick, I got one other thing to say. Our governor has come up with a new term, carbon negative. Hey, let's hire some contractors. After we get rid of all the carbon, we can get some contractors and some machines to suck carbon out of the air. Because I don't know how you get the carbon negative without sucking carbon out of the air. Anybody?
I think Wyoming could be carbon negative, we ship all the coal out.
Yeah. Let's sell it to the Chinese.
Give it away for free.
Proposed the forest, reforest. If they reforest, they can pull the carbon out of the air. Someplace around 10,000 to 11,000 years.
Oh, we don't need to cut the forest down. We can leave it alone. And guess what? It'll take care of itself. It's called a fire. I mean, that's the dumb stuff. And I'm not a smart man, I promise you. But I scratch my head. If we took one of every 3 trees out, there wouldn't be a forest fire? Why don't we do that? Oh no, we can't. 'Cause we're harming the trees. I mean, I'm telling you, if they get their way, we're all gonna be eating bugs and living in an apartment complex. And you'll get your share of electricity when they can afford to turn it on. But the people who own windmills and all the green energy be flying around the world in jets, living in mansions. And you won't even be able to go to the mountains. I think there's another book, if you haven't read, called 1984.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1776 is better.
It is. Good point. But I'm just saying, we gotta fight. We can't quit. If we do, even if we lose, it's still good that we're in the fight.
Yeah.
We're at least slowing it down. But I think we can win. I think we can turn it around.
Yes.
And the critical point to that is elections. All about the elections.
Senator, I'm sorry, sir, forgive me for my direct approach. But I'm a Marine, so I go for the throat. So you've been pontificating for the last 20 mics or so. I don't think none of us here are that naive to know what the problems are. But what I haven't heard from you, sir, are solutions. What are real, concrete, hardcore solutions? We elected you to be a leader. You know, what have you done? What are your recommended solutions that we could implement here, either as citizens of Gillette and then citizens of the great state of Wyoming? So what are the solutions, sir? That's what I'd like to hear. The problems I think all of us are aware of, but what are the solutions?
Great question. Let me rub my neck. Oh, wait a minute, you're a Marine, that didn't even hurt. The answer to that is the election cycle. The answer to what I'm doing is I'm running 2 property tax bills. I don't know if you heard that. The answer is cut fees. The answer is cut the amount of money that goes to the teachers' union.
Right, sir, but how? How? I mean, what action do we need to take at our level? Writing letters?
Yes.
Being involved in the local boards? You know,
Good point,
What are those
good point.
solutions?
Watch what's going on and contact us. Know what bills we're running and contact everybody else. And let them know you're watching. That's what you can do. Help us get more conservatives in the seats.
Well, you signed the petition too, because that helps us.
We have.
Unfortunately, it's a slow process, but that's what I would like you to do. Or you could storm the Capitol in Cheyenne and get arrested as an insurrectionist. Fortunately, the door is unlocked and you can just walk in.
Let me ask Commissioner, for 2, but a couple parts of this. You, as in the legislature, when we, the citizens, actually come down, or even more importantly, attend the individual committee meetings, yes, it's a drive to Cheyenne or wherever, but does that make a difference? Commissioner Curry, when you see, of course, we had the whole thing going on with the library and it was always packed, but that issue is going well. So I know that Tuesday, Ed was there, I was there, Laura has been there different times. My goal is to continue to go so that you see it's not something major on the issue, but we're still there. Does that make a difference? Seeing people in the seats?
Well, if I can have just a minute.
Yes, sir.
I would say it definitely makes a difference. Knowing that people care and that people are watching makes a difference. Now, Cindy Lovelace, her name was mentioned, and I'm not putting words in her mouth, but I have talked to her about this voting stuff and hand counting and all this. She's not opposed to that, but she didn't want to do it right now this year. She's been in there for almost a year, and she has straightened out a lot of stuff in that clerk's office. Cause they got that new computer system, Tyler. Come to find out, if I remember right, and I wouldn't bet on it, but every month, there was $20,000 worth of diesel fuel that wasn't accounted for. And nobody was doing nothing. It wasn't getting stolen. It just isn't being put to the right vehicle. If 3 people show up at a pump, they all use one guy's number, or however that works, I don't know. But anyway, that's just an example. They're gonna have the audit done on time, I believe by the end of this year. And that was behind time by a year to a year and a half for I think 3 or 4 years before she got in there. So that's pretty important. She's been doing some big things and just didn't want to attack these machines this year.
But it's too important to not do it this year.
And voting machines are important. I'm in all favor of it. I'm not in favor of trashing Cindy, who's trying to do the best she can and do all this. So, thank you.
And I'll add on to that real quick. Come down to Cheyenne and sit in the Senate and watch. I promise you, I'll make sure you're recognized.
Yeah.
Go to the committee meetings. The committee meetings, you'll learn a lot more than the floor. But it's open. You should go.
Does it make a difference
Yes.
to the others? That makes a difference to you two, because we're from Campbell County. Does it make a difference to the others that are there?
Were you in attendance during the special session? Well, we brought down 2 busloads of people, and I'm here to tell you that we would not have had a special session had those people not filled the entire mezzanine of both the House and the Senate.